secrets I wrote, virtual threat, keystroke kill, identity hidden I fulfill. Cyber assassin, that's my prowl. Codes in hand, you'll fall. Hack and strike, chaos I make. Cyber realm, my domain to take.
This video I'm going to do a little different. Instead of talking about energy and current situations in life in general, I feel like the best way to express the current energy in the world is to tell a story. And this story is about the current energy in a metaphorical way. And what this story is it's a past event when I want to say about 12 is when this had happened. Is I had been told by my mother's first husband, he had explained to me that when you're swimming in a current, let's say you get caught in a riptide and you're in the ocean and you're being drawn out into the deep sea, he told me very, very distinctly not to fight the current. If you ever get caught in a canal or a river or any type of current situation, the last thing you want to do is swim against it, because you will absolutely drown. So what he gave me directive to do is, if ever you find yourself swimming in a strong current, swim with it and up. Simple, right? Simple directions that I never saw any use for, just like most of what I was told by this guy. He was pretty rough on me as a kid, treated me like a slave in a lot of ways. I have very powerful reflexes because of this dude. Where I hated him. I hated his guts. He sure did make me tough. He did. So I think anybody who was raised by soldiers or people who are convicts or anything like that, you don't really understand the lessons they're teaching you or why, but what you end up being and are capable of due to their teachings, you don't really have to understand. It's the warrior's way. It just is. You just take your lessons and learn them well. So at any rate, so I absolutely had no remembrance or, didn't really ever have any cause to use this information until one day I went out. We went fishing. We were in Mexico, and a friend of mine and I and a couple friends of the family, we all got on a little boat and we're going out into the ocean to go fishing. And me, knowing damn well that I get seasick like no other, motion sick, to the point that I can't hack it. So typically I'd have to turn around to go back, but this time I thought I could stomach it. I thought I'd be alright, so they warned me. They said, if you get sick, we are not taking you back. You will have to swim into shore. And being a very tough outdoors kid, I wasn't afraid of that. So we went out, and I lasted probably about an hour until I had thrown up until there was nothing left to throw up, and it was hurting so bad I gave in. And they told me, we're going to take you about a quarter mile and you're going to have to swim from there. And quite honestly, that wasn't a big deal. They took me about a quarter mile into shore. I jumped in, I swam my ass all the way into shore. It was no biggie. I got there. But where I got in trouble is when I got to the beach, I started messing around, swimming around, diving down, taking a look at things, and I got to this spot where I didn't understand what I was seeing, but I was looking down into the water and I saw schools of fish dropping down into what looked like a trench in the bottom of the seafloor. And that trench went back out to sea, and I was watching all the fish swimming around, and they'd drop into that trench and they'd cutting out, they're just taking off. And I didn't understand what was happening. So I swam up to it and swam down into it, and it swept me out, and it took me. What I hadn't understood was that was the freshwater river flowing into the ocean. And as I understand completely now, fresh water is much more dense, and it flows right through seawater like knife through butter. So it definitely was hurrying on its way through the seawater and through the trench like a raging river, and it got a hold of me and swept me very quickly right back out over the shelf into the black ocean. And it tried to draw me right down. It was pulling me down into the blackness. But before I had any time to really think, I, somewhere in my body, remembered exactly one of the lessons that I learned as a child. And as soon as it took me, I didn't fight it. I turned around and I swam with the current and up. And, you know, even though I saw it sweeping me out to the blackness of the sea, I didn't want it to draw me to the bottom of the sea like it was trying to. So I just followed the current. I swam all the way, probably a good half mile out into the sea. And I basically had to fight my way back inward because it was trying to just keep going out. So I kept swimming in towards the sea, and I barely caught the peninsula down the beach, probably a good half mile down the beach. I hit the land, and by the time I made it to the land, I barely just had the energy to crawl up on the beach. And I crawled up as high up on the beach out of the water as I could and passed out on the beach for about 4 or 5 hours in the sun. Got the worst sunburn, all blistered and everything of my life. Never been sunburned like that in my life. But I survived, you know. The water tried to take me. The ocean tried to take me. The lesson was remembered, though. The lesson that I didn't think was important. The words that were said, that I had no place to hold them. They meant nothing to me. Saved my life from a person who I thought hated me. Saved my life. There's something about swimming with the tide, not fighting the current, going with the flow, even though you know not where it's going, why, you know, taking lessons that you don't understand or have any real place to put them, where they don't even make sense, but you're just taking it in stride and believing in faith that it will have purpose at some point, even though you have no idea what it is. It's acceptance of reasoning that's beyond your capability of knowing, and taking that to heart, that at some point it will serve you well. And it's not your job to know why or what. It's only your job to be present and do the best that you can and be harmonious and forthright and strong, and more importantly, have a full heart and be real. You know, these things are kind of the essence of life, not being a victim of anything. You know, you have to hold your values in all situations, but at the same time, you do have to be receptive as well. So it's a balance of being hard and soft, both, of being uncompromising and bendable at the same time. It's a strange balance being human, being a creature of light and darkness in the waking and sleeping realm at the same time. And that's how I feel about the ocean. The ocean is the land of dreams, right? It's where the subconscious lives and is born. And it is also a place that all abundance is most profoundly abound. I wanted to tell this story because I think it is relevant with the current line of energy in the world currently, of the commingling of the waking and the dreaming realm of rules, regulations, and standards meeting thoughts, dreams, and hopes. You know, the material and the immaterial are commingled at this time. They're touching where they typically would be separate. This is the Neptune and Saturn energy. This is also a time of awakening to what's inside that has been hidden and unknown, and also making what has always been less serious, because after all, we do make very serious something that was made to be fun, and that's life. We have a capacity to forget that life is supposed to be enjoyed. It's supposed to be experienced, not endured. And I think a lot of us endure life rather than enjoy it. It's okay to be silly. It is. It's okay to allow yourself to not feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders on every moment. Everything's not your place to handle or solve or understand. But at the same time, you are responsible for you and sometimes others. So it can be serious. I'm not saying it's not. But the fallacy is that you have any control at all, because you are at the will of life. You live at its grace. It's not really up to you, the circumstances that you or others have to endure. It's only up to you what you do with what you encounter in life. Now, are we progenitors and bringers about of what is? Absolutely. We do play our part in the manifestation and the gestation from the dream world into the waking realm. Knowledge of that is important. Embodiment of it is highly important. But at the same time, it is the will of whatever God, higher power, deity, spirit, it is the will of that is truly in control. It is the one ruling and testing and causing. We are it and it is us. That's the disconnect, honestly, is that we are separate from spirit. That's where we get lost, and that's what we've forgotten in the world. The flow state, the allowing what is to be and going with the circumstances and understanding that you don't have any control. It's your duty to just do what your spirit is led to do in the moment. From the heart, from your soul, from your spirit. The mind is less important when it comes to action than we give it its due. We feel that everything has to be thought through. Sometimes it's all about just doing what you feel, saying what you feel, less about thinking about doing the right thing and saying the right thing the way you think it should be said or done. Sometimes you just do how you feel, and that's the right way. And typically when you don't, that's when things go wrong. That's when you have regrets. That's when you have worries, because you thought about it. That's where it went wrong, because you allowed yourself to not move authentically and without the trueness. You allow reasoning to rule. Part of this is moving out of Saturn's construct, Kronos, the rule maker, the law bringer, all of the very serious ways of being are being dismantled. We are being awakened to the ability to just be, and that's okay. And that's okay.